really get into beauty pageants. I just usually don't. I was in a beauty pageant once, and that was when I was in high school. But other than that, I don't really, get into that thing. But this is funny. Apparently, for the Miss Universe pageant, Miss Israel is throwing mad shade at Miss Palestine. You see, apparently, even in a beauty pageant, Israel can't seem to act right. See so for yourself. This is going around on social media, ladies and gentlemen. Rima says, free Miss Palestine from Israel's energy. Yeah. Here's Miss Palestine here on the left in the blue dress, and here's Miss Israel in the pink dress. I'll mute because of the music. Look at how she's looking at Miss Palestine. Throwing shade. Israel can't even behave in a beauty pageant. And Miss Palestine is there just minding her own business. Yeah. Throwing shade. Well, Miss Palestine has a pretty interesting story. A lot of people are talking about this because it was so obvious. She's not rolling her eyes at any of the other contestants. She's rolling her eyes at Miss Palestine. Like I said, even in a freaking beauty pageant, Israel has to be hateful. Can't just sit there and behave. Rah, rah, Miss Palestine. She has a very interesting story. I want you guys to hear this. Abir is responding to this gentleman here. Kind of wild that Palestine doesn't exist so much that Miss Palestine is an American, American born with Italian and Egyptian parents who now lives in Dubai. That's coming from Bonchi. And she's debunking that and says, I know lying comes as naturally to you as farting, but damn, at least make it harder to catch. Nadeen was born to 2 Palestinian parents, like most of us. So let's hear Nadeen's story.
I'm a child of 2 Palestinian-born parents. I'm going to start from the beginning. In 1948, my father's ancestors moved from Yafa Ramleh to Nablus, West Bank as refugees. There, my father was born and he had his childhood there. My mother was...
Stop. Let's go back.
I'm going to start from the beginning. In 1948, my father's ancestors moved from Yafa Ramleh to Nablus, West Bank as refugees.
As refugees. You heard what she said? 1948. What happened? Right? So we're going back towards like the Nakba time. So they were refugees.
There, my father was born and he had his childhood there. My mother was born in Hebron, Palestine. She had her childhood there and she moved to university to Nablus. There she went to Najah University, and during her studies, she met my father. They fell in love, got married, and moved to Ramallah, Palestine to build our family home. I was born in the States, and shortly after, my parents decided to go back to Ramallah, and we spent 6 years of my childhood there. After that, for some family reasons, we decided to go back to the States, and we spent 3 years of our lives there. And because of certain circumstances, they decided to move to Canada. And there, I spent my high school years and my university degree. But even during these years, my parents made sure that every single holiday, we were in Palestine, spending time there, staying connected to our land. After graduating university, I decided to move back to Ramallah, Palestine. There, I worked as a psychology and English literature teacher. I also worked with NGOs and helped kids with special needs. In 2022, I got the opportunity to become Miss Palestine, and then I won the title. I then proceeded to go to international beauty competitions, and there I won a title. It was the first time in history that a Palestinian woman wins an international title. I felt so motivated to continue my journey. I saw the positive impact it made, and I decided to continue to go on another international competition. But I decided to delay it because I didn't find that it was the right time with what was happening in Gaza and Palestine. But now, in 2025, I decided to go to Miss Universe 2025 and represent Palestine on the international stage. I felt like it's the right time because I don't want our identity to just be the suffering and the pain that we see on the headlines and the news.
Everybody hear that part. She doesn't want her identity or their identity just to be the pain and the suffering of what you see on the news. And I think that's really deep, right? Like when you are obviously a group of people that's going through that, it's like that's all, it can get to the point where that's all people see. oh, you're one of them. Oh, the people that the genocide and all that, those types of things. And so I thought that was really important. I noticed again, she was living in Ramallah off and on. That is the place where I mentioned this a while back, that there was a statue of Nelson Mandela in Ramallah. Yeah, because Nelson Mandela went to Ramallah. Nelson Mandela stood with the Palestinian people. And I bring this up to point back to apartheid South Africa. It's interesting to me the number of people that protested against apartheid South Africa or say they stand in solidarity, against the apartheid in South Africa, but they don't stand against the apartheid in Israel. They don't stand against the apartheid that's in the West Bank, et cetera. Jordan Peele is one of those people, by the way. Actor, director, comedian, Jordan Peele. So people need to see this for what this really is. I really do feel like they're trying to rewrite history. By they, I mean the Zionists. I think they're trying to rewrite history by telling you there's no such thing as a Palestine. There was never a Palestine ever. No, there weren't Palestinians there. No, there weren't. They're really trying to erase all of it as if it never happened. So again, like I said, I'm not usually into beauty pageants, so I usually follow that type of thing. But this was trending, and I thought was really interesting about the story is the fact that she wanted to show people a different side of Palestinians, that Palestinians aren't just people that you see being shot or bombed. Palestinians aren't just the images of children that you see with their bodies being ripped apart. They're not just the images of people that you see starving, begging for food, or running to get food only to get shot. And I think that's important. Let's continue on here.
Suffering and the pain that we see on the headlines and the news. We are more than that. We are our dreams, our aspirations, and our talents. And I want the world to see that. I want the world to really see what the Palestine identity is about.
Yeah. And this part here was what really got me, right? 1948, her parents, they became refugees from Jaffa, and then they had to move. And apparently also, she can kick some ass. Let me show you guys this as well. Apparently, she's a pretty good fighter. Here's Miss Palestine here, guys. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So when you look back and you see, we go back to Miss Israel here, and you just see the shade that this woman, like look at her. The shade. She is disgusted by the fact that not only that, but Miss Palestine is even next to her, but the fact that she even has on something that says Palestine. They want you to pretend like it was never a place, it was never a thing. She couldn't just stand there and just be. She had to bring that same type of energy. And even if you look here, you look and see who is the aggressor. Who is the one throwing shade? While you have Miss Israel here in the pink dress, an occupier, a settler. And then you have Miss Palestine, who, according to her story about her parents, who is actually indigenous to the area. And then you have the woman next to her in the country that took over the land and expelled the people, that doesn't want to allow people to have DNA tests. So we're going to cheer for Miss Palestine. I'm not going to cheer for Miss Israel. And I would go as far as to say, I don't even think Miss Israel should have been in this damn competition. A genocider. For Miss Palestine to stand next to her and to have the type of grace that she has, and to not, if she is angry, to not show that anger, that hostility, I think that says a lot about her. So we're going to cheer for Miss Palestine. That's what we're going to do. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.